Hi everyone, my name is Linda Gingrich and I'm the conductor of Master Chorus Eastside. My friend and colleague Gary Cannon and I were going to split the conducting duties of Handel's Messiah for this summer's Eastside Sings, but since we had to cancel it because of the pandemic, we are splitting talking about Messiah for you and looking forward to hopefully next summer leading you all in a joyful sing-through of the work. So here are a few things that I have learned about Messiah. Most of us think that Messiah flowed full-blown and complete from Handel's pen to paper. And it is true that it did indeed only take him 24 days to compose the work for the first performance. But he then took 10 years and 36 performances tinkering with it. He added in a chorus 8 years after the premiere. He would alter arias and recitatives, sometimes drastically. Sometimes he would simplify them. Sometimes he would alter the ending so that it would meld better into a chorus. Sometimes he dumped arias and maybe would bring an aria back, or maybe not. There are as many as 2 to 4 versions of 8 of the arias and recitatives in Messiah, and there are actually 5 versions of a 9th aria. Most of his autograph score is still extant, but there are 1 or 2 of his conducting scores that still exist with changes. There are 1 or 2 conducting scores that belong to his colleagues who conducted performances with changes. There are some orchestral parts that are available from various performances with changes, and they all differ from one another. So there is no definitive version of Messiah, and it's not always clear what Handel preferred. On top of that, in the beginning, he regarded Messiah strictly as a business venture. He borrowed from himself and from others in creating several of the movements. For example, For Unto Us a Child is Born began life in an earlier work as a love duet set to the text, No, I Will Not Trust You, Blind Love. The first performance of Messiah was in a theater, not in a church, and in fact, all of the performances that Handel oversaw were done in concert halls, not in churches. He just didn't treat it as a sacred object. So what does this tell us about Handel? He was a human being like the rest of us. He was a portly bear of a man who loved to eat. In fact, he once ordered a 16-course meal in a restaurant, and it was all for himself. There were no other guests invited. He loved to tell stories. He could tell very good humorous stories, but you had to be able to follow him in Italian, German, French, and English in order to get the gist of his stories. He was generally good-natured, but he could be difficult. Once in rehearsal, a soprano was becoming more and more uncooperative, and in fact, she finally flatly refused to sing an aria. Well, he rushed on stage, grabbed her, dragged her to an open window, threatened to throw her out, all the while saying, I always knew you was a very Teufel, German for devil, but I will show you that I am Beelzebub, the prince of the Teufels. Needless to say, she quite quickly changed her tune, pun intended. He was not overtly religious until the last few years of his life, but he was always known for his generosity and for his charitable giving. The first performance of Messiah was for a charity, the Foundling Hospital in Dublin, and he often oversaw and conducted performances of Messiah for charitable purposes. And at his death, he bequeathed the fair copy and all parts of the oratorio to the Foundling Hospital in Dublin, where it still resides. I think that with the passage of time, Handel became aware that Messiah was something special. When he was once congratulated after a performance on his excellent entertainment, he responded, I do not wish to entertain them. I wish to make them better. Maybe that's why he revised it so much. Maybe he wanted to make Messiah better so that it could communicate as a living, breathing work of art that would speak to our souls. And it still does, nearly 300 years later.